And they didn't bring any spoilers either, to help them flee the scene of the crime of being pursued.
Done and done.
Like caltrops, or rather, given the smooth floor, like marbles. Or aniseed, to throw dogs off their scent. Or even simple snap traps, to deter pursuers of any number of limbs by snaring any one of them. Without these things, they'll likely be pursued all the way back to the Many-Starred Cloak arcane laboratory. Like amateurs. But Lilly doesn't plan on leaving any witnesses anyway, so amateur or not, nobody will ever know. Or laugh at her. Even her little wilted flower from Candlekeep. Unbeknownst to Lilly, after her ascension over 2 years ago, her little wilted flower and her savage drow of Shar returned to Zaza. That's the former capital of Tethyr, almost 400 miles south of Athkatla, on the coast. From there, Imoen and Viconia boarded ship, traveling the sea swords northwards towards home, if such a place even existed, well, for them by then. Imoen disembarked after a 10-day near Candlekeep, but Viconia continued on to Waterdeep, arriving the day after the annual Feast of the Moon. There, as we know, she established a cult of Shar and the undersellers of Welverine Thalmud's crawling spider undersellers, and committed what became to be known as the Mistress murders on the 21st of Nightal. That's the day after Lilly's alleged 161st birthday. Of course, the murders Lilly would hear about while in the Castle Waterdeep dungeon. Imoen, however, found herself restless at the monastery, and so, on invitation from Khelben Blackstaff Arunsun himself, teleported to Waterdeep, staying at Blackstaff Tower for a month while making plans for elsewhere. It was towards the end of that visit that she saw a falling star, and that star her. Imoen left the last day of Lilly's imprisonment, the second to last day of the year.
Fair enough.
Imoen has actually done quite well for herself in the last 2 years. After departing Blackstaff Tower in Waterdeep, Imoen traveled to Selgant in Sembia, arriving after her 20th birthday in the spring. By the spring of the following year, she found herself gainfully employed by none other than the Night Knives Thieves Guild there, as an independent contractor of sorts. Last year, however, the guildmaster, Krollir Venasten, also a cleric of Mask, attempted to summon a greater dread named Rilsalar. things went horribly wrong.
Done and done.
And not only was he slain by the dread, but the entire guild's members were converted into lesser shades and ghouls. In the absence of the guild, Imoen saw opportunity, and she established a new one, which she called, fittingly enough, Raven's Riffraff, a nod to Rathavir the Raven, that's the founder of Sembia. And over the last year, the guild has found much success. So much so that they're even operating as far north as Neverwinter, believe it or not.
Enough.
The question is, would Lilly even know who people were talking about if they were to mention the alias of its guild mistress, Pansy Puffguts? Perhaps, but perhaps it would be better if she didn't. A girl like Imoen doesn't take on a fat innkeeper's nickname in part, unless she were large herself with something other than ale and roast boar.
Sorry.
Yes, Lilly's little wilted flower has been made ready to bear. The Blacklake burglars have hit their first impasse. The doorway is guarded by some trickery, and they're likely lacking the means to disarm it. Like amateurs. It's up to Bones to spring whatever devious intent it may have. And no, there's no potions of bless to help his chances of doing so unscathed either. Finally, the Hodge Heist draws to an end. The last room of the estate. But where is Hodge? Lilly wonders who the man is, anyway. Ophala hadn't mentioned much. She only mentioned that he stole an urn from her some years ago, and that he's been trapped in the city along with everyone else under their quarantine. An impressive prison, though Lilly can tell. It has the trappings of newly acquired wealth, mainly the overstated furnishings and decor, including that pool in the main hall. The Hodge Inn, mingled with guards in the steamy hall with a hot bath sunk into the floor, allows up to 8 guests to sit in comfort on a submerged copper seat ledge, scented oils added by request. Ridiculous. A fountain would have been much more preferable. Simple, elegant, timeless. The urn, gilded. Sure enough, a rather cheap attempt at appearing stately. It smells of after-even feast mints and bears a dent, as if used against someone's skull. Alright, a note from Hodge to Ophala Cheldarstorn. Consists of an almost steady stream of profanities and curses. Apparently they've been exchanging such sentiments for a great deal of time, and he's none too pleased with having had to flee his refuge yet again. Standard fare for vanquished foes. And of course here is the gilded urn, that Ophala wanted, presumably. Strangely, Best Wishes Ophala Cheldarstorn has been scratched into the base of it. Best Wishes Ophala Cheldarstorn. So perhaps a gift she wanted back? Former lovers? Lilly begins to imagine Ophala and Hodge lounging in the pool in the hall. Seats available only for 5 despite the pair being alone. Behind them, on the floor at the edge, the urn, a token of Ophala's affection for the man, filled with candy. How strange. No matter, as long as Ophala pays well. The last of the spoils of the estate, splint mail armor and some jewelry, perhaps even personal effects of Master Hodge himself. By now, the acrid odor and smoke of burning muffins has reached even the master bedroom here. They'd best make their escape, and quickly, before a baker's dozen does indeed become their doom. On the way out, Sharwyn shares, of all things, one of her favorite recipes for an appetizer called Hot Bites. Apparently, it comes from Chef Alayss at the Happy Hippocampus Inn in Hill's Edge in the Sunset Vale, a little over 100 miles northwest of Asbravn, home of the other board-laid bear. First, take slices of crust bread. Stale ones will do. Soak them in a white wine and then allow them to dry. Then, spread them with hot mustard, sliced cheese and onion, or, as Little Red prefers, leeks, and sprinkle them with basil, pepper, and even a bit more white wine. Finally, put them in a skillet over the hearth until the cheese melts and serve them hot. Sharwyn is beaming at Lilly, her ponytail bobbing up and down as she nods her head as if trying to convince her mistress how delicious they really are. Lilly only raises an eyebrow. She could appreciate the wine, but why bother with the bread, the mustard, the cheese, or even the vegetables? Lilly finally lets out a laugh, declaring she'd prefer her hot bite in a glass without all that other nonsense. In exchange, although Lilly doesn't quite have a favorite recipe to share, mongrels. In exchange, although Lilly doesn't quite have a favorite recipe to share, she at least tells Sharwyn about one she's heard of and would love to try. There's a small hamlet about 2 days' ride east of Hill's Edge along the Dusk Road called Corm. Nestled in a hollow among the green pig-roamed hills east of town is a large temple called the Ladyhouse, dedicated to Sheila Periroyal. Sheila Periroyal is the halfling goddess of nature, growing things, and agriculture.
Oi, what can I get ya?
Really trading with the bartender at the Board-Laid Bear. And so, the Ladyhouse is filled with flowers and climbing vines inside, and surrounded by gardens outside, including wild gardens, which are preserved plots of tangled weeds, shrubs, and scrub trees. The clergy of the Ladyhouse spend their days working with the halfling farmers of the town. The priests keep watch over the hills for Zentarum raids, thieves, and wandering beasts that might harm the crops. And some even watch over the farmers' hogs, which are a constant lure to wolves. And supposedly, as a result of bagging so many, one expert archer among the priests has developed a most delicious recipe for wolf stew, or so Lilly's heard from Alvanhendar and Gullykin. Little Red sticks her tongue out at the thought of slurping a wolf stew, but Lilly doesn't even notice. She's smiling, mindlessly clutching her spellbook, lost in some sadistic reverie. The Board-Laid Bear barkeep interjects to remind the ladies that, although he doesn't offer wolf stew, he does offer roast boar or hare cooked with onions or leeks, garlic optional, for a silver, or even roast venison for twice that, always fresh as he puts it, interrupting Lilly's fantasy and putting a pronounced frown on her face. They'll not be staying here, even if he claimed to have roast wolf. Of course, she would, if she could believe it, but it's probably all roast Blacklake rat anyway. The rat cooked rare. Going to put the cats of Blacklake out of business. Not to mention the rat catchers. The sun is rising over the walls of the ward for a second morning in Blacklake. This time, however, Lilly and company are making a late end to a long night. On the air, the scent of burnt muffins, and in the distance, Millie, the Blacklake cleaning lady, making her way to the Hodge estate, not realizing she'll be washing away any evidence of the Blacklake burglars on account of her poor vision. Too easy. Lilly and Little Red, too exhausted to speak much, flop by the summoning circle. Sharwyn starts talking about those hot bites again and promises that one day she'll prepare them for her mistress. Lilly smiles and agrees, but only if she's allowed to pick out the wine. Maybe Alurlyath, or even Moonwine if they can find it. If that day ever comes. If she means it. And so, the buffle-headed Blacklake burglars have completed their first heist, and surprisingly it was a success. Worthy of Raven's riffraff? No, but at least they have the urn if not the candy.